Shadows whisper when the lights go dim. Cold breath crawling on my skin. Voices echo from the other side. Is it real or just my mind? Things paranormal talks in the dark. Secrets buried leave a burning mark. We interview the dead, we debate the unknown. Chasing shadows where the seeds are sown. Fingers tapping on a Ouija board. Broken silence like a shattered chord. Eerie hums in the dead of night. Is it true?
Hey,
Hello.
hello.
How you
How are
doing?
you?
How you doing?
Well, yeah, we're like twins, talking the same, thinking the same things.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm doing great. Had
good.
my workout today because of my solar. It's downstairs.
Yay.
Yeah,
She did
so
it.
puppy's power.
Very good, very good, very good.
Yeah,
Well, to drop inside, we have a guest. And you
yes,
have
we.
to tell a bit of the history about this because this was a bold move.
It was, it was. um, about 5 years back, we heard about a new show, what was going to air, and I was confident it was be put on the television over here as well. So, because I have them both on my friend list, I started the fan group. Well, it didn't work out the way we hoped because it aired about 2 years later in England and never here in the Netherlands. But I watched it, and there were parts in that show which I liked. Um, some people left the group, and we decided with the admin group, we changed the name of the group, and it's solely about our guest of tonight. And he's a songwriter, he's a singer, he's a paranormal investigator. He was an apprentice with Ralph Sarchi. It's a medium, and I can't hold back. It's Sean Austin.
Hey guys.
Hi,
Hey.
Sean.
Well, without naming anyone, it was a nice introduction.
Thank you guys for having me on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, finally, we're supposed to do it last year, but we couldn't close our agenda or calendars. But you're here now, and we're totally excited to do this.
Yeah.
Um, we have watchers, so let me put on the comments. Well, let's start for our listeners on Spotify. I told a small part, but introduce yourself, who you are, and how you got involved in the paranormal.
Sure. My name's Sean Austin. I'm a demonologist, paranormal researcher, medium, author, singer, songwriter, I guess a little bit of everything in the chameleons of sorts. I've been investigating the paranormal for over 15 years. I got involved in the paranormal kind of by mistake, even though I was really interested in the paranormal. I was obsessed with horror movies as a kid. It's funny, the only movie that would give me nightmares as a kid was The Exorcist. The irony of my later work that I'd be involved with. Yeah, I was waitering at a restaurant with a friend of mine who was the most skeptical person ever, and decided to get him to come out to a cemetery one night to have him have an experience. And instead I had my own experience, getting my first EVP of a little girl in front of a little girl's grave. And, when I discovered that EVP the next night, that it was a child that responded to me, it wasn't just a belief anymore watching it on TV. It was a reality. And that reality, I wanted to go out and constantly search for more answers and get more experiences to attain more knowledge from those experiences, which led me on the journey to where I am today with, I had my own podcast and meeting people, networking people, which led me to meet Ralph Sarchi, which was my mentor in demonology, the first TV show that was ever on, The Demon Files, and publishing my first book, Shadow Chaser, and my second book later on. And, Ghost Loop with Travel Channel and travel in the country and multiple documentaries, and kind of took my whole life into a whole new path, really, per se, because music and being a singer musician was everything to me as a passion, which still is. But, the paranormal is a part of my daily life now.
It is. And you got a big taste of it, producing and working in documentaries on Demon Files. What was your experience there in those cases?
The Demon Files, I mean, that was my first time being an investigator for Ralph. And, I was reading about demonology, but to actually go on cases with someone that has that type of reputation and stories of him and his experiences and who we work with the Warrens to Malachi Martin and Bishop McKenna, which are probably the most respected exorcists of our time. It's pretty intense, not to know what to expect, and, going more in depth into these cases and the types of stuff that can come at you. And in the process of that, I was having a spiritual awakening and being more sensitive to spirits that was unlocked in this process as well. I feel like I was skipping a lot of spiritual pay grades, so to speak, in doing the paranormal. As I went further into it, it was just like, snap of the fingers, boom, bombs going off with just like, more experiences than your average person with the stuff that I've gone through up until this point. So it's been a surreal journey for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It went fast as well, if I'm correct.
Did it go fast? Yeah, well, time definitely goes fast. Especially as you get older. When you're a kid, you don't think about those things, but when you're doing a lot and time just blows by, and next thing you know, you're an older person. And inevitability is on no one's side. We're all going to the same place, but yes, time definitely flies.
Yeah.
It does.
Especially when you have fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And in the paranormal, it's going faster because night is over before you even blink.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you're passionate about it. There's plenty of
Yeah.
people that would want to go out and just as if they're watching a movie or a TV show and think within 20 minutes they're going to see like a chair levitate or something like that. People get really impatient. And it's people like yourselves that are truly passionate about it, and as myself as well, that'll sit there for 8 to 10 hours for that one amazing experience that you'll be able to talk about for the rest of your life. And that's true passion.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Plus the fact that if you sit there for 3-4 hours, you're like, oh, it's 10 minutes. Whoa, where did my hours go?
Yeah,
It's this time already. Weird.
that's right. Absolutely.
Just a question which popped into my mind. You're a psychic medium. Did you ever try something like the Gansfield method or the Estes method? And did it open yourself up more or just the same?
I personally haven't messed with that because I thought that would put myself in a more of a predicament when it comes to already being spiritually awakened. And I would be worried about something trying to come at me or put myself in a situation where it's not naturally, organically happening. So I actually haven't messed with it because in my opinion, like whatever I'm having happen to me is my gift from God. So I prefer to have it happen to me organically than trying to extend that risk that we already take during our paranormal investigating, because every level of investigating paranormal is a risk. Everyone has different methods, and some people want to look at it from a scientific method or a skeptical method, or like myself, I'm very spiritually in depth with my approach to the paranormal, and obviously drenched in my faith of God and everything like that. So with the things I've experienced and the multiple attempts that I've had to endure with evil spirits trying to oppress me, and being sensitive to spirits already, I just don't want to give any more potential opportunities for things to come at me that they already have and have done in the past. It's no walk in the park, the things that these things can do. So, I mean, you can take every precaution necessary when you go on a paranormal investigation, and when you go home, things can still happen. You can still be attacked, no matter what you do or think you're doing to protect yourself. So I'm, you know, I'm apprehensive about those methods for myself individually, even though I know plenty of people that do that sort of thing. But being sensitive and that sort of thing would be a worry and more of a risk that I'm willing to take right now.
Understandable. I have a question from Cindy, and it lines up very beautiful. What is your scariest experience in all those years?
In all my years of investigating the paranormal, I get that question all the time. Sometimes I just turn around and ask the person, "What's the scariest thing that you could imagine happening to you?" Because then I'll tell you if it's happened to me.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've dealt with one girl that was possessed. I don't know if you saw the documentary, Devil Down South, and that story is so, harrowing. And that was the only legitimate possession case that I ever dealt with. It was as I was learning about demonology, and this girl was speaking, English backwards to me on the phone, and I had to put it in reverse just to understand what she was saying. A defining moment for my faith, putting a cross up to the phone, because she spoke like a man, a 23-year-old woman, girl. And she hissed at me right when I put the cross up to the phone without seeing me on the phone. All sorts of crazy things with that. I mean, to a house in Indiana named Reverend Acres, where I felt something try to possess me, where half my body went into pins and needles, in a place where there's video of a legitimate possession, not some phony YouTube video of trying to get clicks. You can see that this guy's got dilated eyes, drooling in the mouth, his arms contorting. And you could tell that this is a real situation. And feeling that stuff when I was in this place twice to try to get to me, we felt the whole house shake. And I was with two other, colleagues of mine that were investigating the paranormal for over 30 years each. And we all decided to leave that night because we were basically poking something that evil. Just recently I was, doing a stream investigation. I'm sitting there and this EVP comes through and it goes, "Go to the bathroom." And I'm like, great, I know what this is, because this is just a creepy thing that just happened to me that's up there. But it drew me to the bathroom, and like when I went into the bathroom, there's a big mirror, and I started to have this very euphoric feeling come over me. I knew what it was doing. The best way to explain the feeling that I was getting is if you ever saw like a Dracula movie or a vampire movie, where you see the person kind of come over this euphoria come over, where they kind of get, in a trance, and they kind of just float towards whatever the vampire wants the person to do. And I felt that same like type of feeling. It's the best way for me to explain it. And I knew what it was doing. It was trying to seduce me to say the right words in front of the mirror, to say, "You can come through the mirror." And I was recording an EVP, and I'm like, this is what I'm feeling. And I listened to the EVP, and right after I said that, you hear this voice say, "You're smart," like being sarcastic. And I'm like, is that what you're trying to do? And then my app that I created, SPI, it said, "If I could." And so then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, if there's something in this mirror right now, you make a bang noise on the mirror, and it legit banged on the mirror, big, bing, boom, in front of a live stream. And then there was 3 distinct knocks after that as well. If that could be a mockery of the Holy Trinity. And while this was happening, it telepathically projected an image onto me of seeing myself ramming my head into the mirror over and over again until it shattered and blood was everywhere.
That is creepy.
Yeah, it is. It is. Wow.
That's straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah, it sounds like straight out of a horror movie.
You should write for Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, I got plenty of scary stories. That would be one hell of a movie, that's for sure.
Well, it's an option.
Yeah.
The new Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
But Sean Austin this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some documentaries you made. I prepared a clip, and it's one of my favorites.
Mhm.
But you did Amityville. Fontiflora. I hope I pronounced it well.
Mhm.
Letchworth, and this is my favorite demon castle. I watched it a few times.
Oh,
It's perfect.
yeah.
Malefice, Goatman's Bridge, but also 28 Days Haunted.
Mhm.
And I prepared the clip from Amityville. You went there by car. You didn't go into the house, but you did an EVP outside in the car. So I will share it with our viewers so they know a bit more.
What
Um,
is that, dude? Oh my God.
He came, he opened the door, and he was screaming, "Come on, help me. Somebody shot my mother and father."
When you're a mother to kids, hearing of young children being murdered is actually one of the most scariest and most horrible things you can hear.
Well, it was our house. Well, it was our house.
That sounded like George Bush's voice. Started to get really into live streaming. I just decided to take a trip down the Amityville house and throw the spirit box on. I first went to the DeFeo grave, and then I asked who from the family that's still here, and it responded, John. I had this vision where I was inside the house, and I could see 3 perfect humanoid shadows at the top of the stairs. I yelled out to these shadows, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to let this boy John go if he is truly trapped here." One night, Ralph joined me. We sat there in the car.
And I honestly didn't want to go. And in hindsight, I'm glad that I did go because of what I experienced that night. One of the most important aspects was when I had asked specifically to John, "Hey, John, is that picture that little boy you?" I knew that was not a human spirit from the first moment I saw that photograph.
The photo of the little boy in the house, John, is that you?
That isn't me.
That isn't me. Wow. I know it isn't you.
Sean and I knew what we had come up with at this particular point.
What is your name? Are you a little boy? I hear him laughing. I'm still here. That laughing. I just said I'm still here. Play. I want you to reproduce the gunshots that took place in this house. Let's hear them. Whoa, wow. What the?
Are they angry? They wanted to help that boy? What is that, dude? Oh God, dude.
I don't know if anybody's out there right now that has some sort of physical potential paranormal evidence on video while we're staring at the Amityville house in front of the car, and to have this type of activity just sitting in the car and having a light anomaly actually go around the windshield outside like it was watching us and come through the windshield into the car like that.
It is evidence, actually, and I think that it was pretty good evidence. It was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, really, wow. So if people want to watch it, it's still on ScareNet. And those EVPs, so clear. You use the Spirit Box or the app already?
What was that?
Did you use just the Spirit Box or the app already?
What, in the preview?
Yeah.
The preview we were using at the time, Phasma Box and Spirit Box, for the different types of voices coming through. But overall, it's very unique. I think the Amityville documentary that I did was very, very unique because every other documentary you see about the Amityville house is all about the past and whether it's a hoax or not. That's pretty much as far as it goes. But we delve into that in the beginning. It tells the story. Then we go into my personal experiences having to do with the house. It's a modern, version of going into real paranormal experiences I was having to do with the house that goes beyond the original story and how it followed me home. And like you saw in the preview there, I mean, that was his voice, George Lutz's voice on a Spirit Box. And we also have, if you watch the documentary, the voice of Ron DeFeo Jr. came through on a Spirit Box session as well. And I compare his voice to his real voice. I mean, there's something to that case, and it was following me around. It's like that case to me is like cursed. You start talking about it a lot, and just weird things start happening. I just start seeing 315 everywhere. I wake up at 315. Like, when I was writing that book, before the documentary was even made, I put the story in my second book, Shadow Chaser: The In Between. I was writing the book during the winter in my room, and I would just hear like zzz, like flies buzzing around my ear, and there's no flies around. I mean, I was having like, there was a lot of weird stuff having to do with that case. And I actually remember when we did a screening actually of the Amityville documentary in Amityville, like a block or two away from the house. Because the lady that's in the documentary from Amityville Apothecary, she owns the business there, very nice lady. We did a screening in the back of her store outside for like about 50 people or something. And within 24 hours, the filmmaker heard his wife call out his name and she wasn't around or asleep. And then the owner of the shop heard her kid call out her name and her kid wasn't around. And then when we were driving down to the documentary, the filmmaker got a call from someone or a text. And I think it was like, I don't know, it said something strange about the like a number with the house. It may have been 315, but then right when he told me this and I heard a fly in the car with me, I looked at my car and I had 315 miles left till empty of my car. And it was just really, really weird. And all these weird things happened within the 24 hours of just even going to screen this and play this Paranormal Activity on video in Amityville, very close proximity to the house. Like I said, there's something very strange about that house. I also do have a piece of one of the windows of the Amityville house that has a authenticity certificate of authenticity. This is a piece of one of the windows from the house from the 80s of the
Wow.
actual Amityville house. I couldn't turn it down when it popped up, but there's definitely something about that case, and I didn't need to go inside that house to see up close and personal the true evil that surrounds that story. I've seen it up close and personal. It's no joke. I mean, one of the nights I had a vision where I was just going up the stairs to the second floor and I could see like, you know, the paintings of the family as I was going up the stairs. And then I woke up one of those nightmares again, like just the feeling that I had, it made me feel like I was a peon to this thing. I felt so overwhelmed that I was so small to how evil this thing, it wanted me to feel that. And it made me feel like, what did I get myself into type of feeling that night. See a black mist go through my ceiling. It would be like 3:50 in the morning. Every time I'd have these nightmares about the house. But they were pissed. They were pissed about, you know, the interesting thing is I do believe that that boy John was stuck there. You know, what's interesting is that that following year after the documentary aired and streamed on the platform, you know, there was another documentary about Amityville, and that they explained that I never knew is that John DeFeo was allegedly the last person that died from their gun wounds of the family. So then I thought in myself, theoretically, that kind of leans towards my, you know, my feelings of what happened with the boy, that the boy, if he was the last person to pass away, who's to say that the other families that were murdered were, you know, sent into the light. And when that boy came out, he's looking around the house for his family, and then he became stuck in that house ever since that faithful night on November 13th, 1974. And it leads into everything that happened, let alone the references and the stuff that I experienced, that these three evil shadow figures, you know, they were pissed. I mean, about this boy being taken. And I mean, you know, and also the dream, the vision I had that I connected the dots later, because years before I went to the Amityville house, I had this very vivid vision that I was in the car. Lorraine Warren was next to me. She had like a plaid skirt on, looked like the 70s. Ed's in the front. We're going to the Amityville house. And, you know, we walk inside the Amityville house, and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, Sean, you know, we're back in time right now. And I'm like, really? He's like, you're a big part of all this. And I'm like, really? He's like, take a look up. And the word accolade was floating in midair. And like, I kind of like forgot at the time what that word meant. I had to look it up the next day, and it meant some sort of honorary accomplishment or something like that. And I remember even telling Ralph about that experience way long before this happened. And he's like, you got to be careful, you know, things trying to give you stuff in your dreams and stuff. But now looking back at everything that transpired, and then bringing Ralph there, and Ralph giving up his mask for the child after I attempted to pray for this boy. But with both of our intentions synergistically, I believe that this boy ended up crossing into the light. And now looking back at that vision I had of Ed, that was what he meant, because I'm like, how else would I be connected to the Amityville story at all? I think that has to do with me going there that specific day and leading to the unfolding of how this story went with this boy actually getting help and leaving, because those things were pissed and they were coming at me for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe that they will still go after you?
the, these evil things will always go after you. As soon as you piss them off, it's an infinite, relentless attempt. Anytime that you're going through bad times in your life, that's the time to attack, because your vibration is lower. You're dealing with stuff organically, normally in your life that we all experience as human beings, and especially me being sensitive, being more open to feeling their presence and hearing spirits talk all day to me, especially when you're going through stuff. They will definitely try to throw, a psychological can of gasoline on a psychological fire that's already burning within you. So to try to, cause more chaos and pain. I've had multiple attempts throughout my life of things, and I know the game. I know exactly what they're doing, and just turned into more suffering, but I did it for the sake of doing what's right. I think I've definitely carried a lot of crosses along the way with my specific journey in the paranormal. I mean, many people don't pray for spirits on their investigations. I do it all the time. And, all these places, I mean, human spirits that get pissed off and demonic spirits, like, you're taking souls away from the devil. It's not just like you're going into a home who may have a legitimate infestation, a demonic infestation in their home, where the demonic are trying to cause havoc and trying someone to, like, ultimately unalive themselves, to the point where it's like the worst case scenario, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to have you harm someone else or harm yourself. And those are souls that they're trying to attain. But if you talk about, like, earthbound souls that are suffering, they have not transitioned and let go of the human life they once lived, that I've experienced many times, that they're being trapped, whether because of influence to their consciousness of energy from their past when they were in the physical realm, or whatever it is, or people that try, souls that are trying to control them, that were evil in life to them. When someone like myself comes in there and uses my faith and prays for them to have an opportunity to go towards the light rather than not be frightened of it, you're taking souls away from the devil. It's not like souls that the devil's trying to attain. You're talking about souls that are suffering, that the devil does not want to lose. They have grasp of these souls, and it pisses these things off to a whole new level, rather than just going to someone's home. And I've definitely had to deal with the burdens of the suffering, of the attempts, the things wanting to retaliate against me throughout the years because of it, because of what I've been, I guess, called to do with praying for spirits all the time. It pisses the heck out of them. It was interesting. I was just talking to some friends of mine the other day and talking about, I was, we all have personal stuff going through, and I was like, there's some dark stuff, like, around me trying to, like, get at me, like, right now. Because we all, like I said, we all go through stuff. And I was talking to them, and right as I was telling them about this, I heard a spirit say to me, it's because of the requiem. And I didn't even know what that word meant. And I looked up the word. It literally means prayers for the dead. I mean, like, it blew me away. It's just like, it's one of those things where you hear something and you don't even know what the word means. And then, like, the subject matter, what I was talking about, and the spirit gave me the straight up reason why they're going after me.
Yeah. You're praying for the souls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calvin is asking, the case unsolved. One of the sons was convicted for the murders, if I'm correct, in the Amityville house. So it's
he passed away like a couple of years ago or something.
Okay.
Ron DeFeo Jr. passed away. He was cremated, I believe.
Okay. Cremated. Let's hope he's gone to the light. Calvin is saying he has learned to say after an investigation, thank you to the spirits, and say to stay where they belong at the moment. It's a different approach. If you are going out on investigations and helping stuck spirits, then you're doing your prayers.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to do it, yeah, it's the best way to say you're staying at the location. You're not coming with me. Uh, Cindy, it's interesting. Are you not afraid they're coming through your protection?
It's kind of like if a woman and child were being chased at, by a murderous person, and I didn't stop and try to save them, and I went to try to save this woman and child, and I took them away from this killer. Um, and then I have to deal with that person coming after me. It's kind of like I'm doing what's right, and I have to deal with the repercussions because of it. Um, I have my times where, it can get a little, over the top, but in the end, my faith, has to be intact. We're not, no, none of us are perfect. But, in the end, I can't be frightened of these evil spirits, because what does that mean? That means that I don't trust and believe truly that God's more powerful than any devil, demon, or diabolical force. And if they sense that doubt, they see that as a crack in your aura, and they will inadvertently use that to their advantage for their continuous attacks onto you. So, as that's a challenge to every day, especially when you're going through stuff, it makes it a little harder. But in the end, you have to battle anything that's evil or negative with something that's positive. And that's for every facet of life. It doesn't have to be paranormal, but I'm a firm believer in law of attraction, and negative energy wants negative energy. And then whether it's an intelligent energy or an energy in general, you have to negate what is bad with something that is good or positive and filled with light. So, whatever that means. And obviously my faith is strong, but again, because I'm sensitive, I'm more prone to feeling these things. And also because I'm constantly investigating, I'm always going out and I'm engaging spirits all the time. On top of it, it kind of keeps that veil lifted. So then you have to deal with that, constant traffic of the good, the bad, and the ugly of all these types of spirits, whether they're, human spirits or evil spirits, malevolent, demonic spirits. So, it's part of the package. But, that's why it's so important, in my opinion, to be knowledgeable of how these things can attack you from a psychological standpoint, because that's the most delicate nature of the paranormal when it comes to the danger. These things do not want you to know that they're attacking you, and they want you to believe that they are your thoughts and your emotions, to the point where the ultimate disaster happens for you or anyone around you that you care about. That is of course it's exciting. Of course it's a thrill. It's like you're in an amusement park, but there's real stakes at play here. And these things know that. And they're the ones that have a lot of advantages, according to a person that's just trying to come in and talk to spirits and stuff. They're always looking for opportunities to gain access to people that can gain energy for themselves. And ultimately, if they're a demonic spirit, to make a mockery of the human being, and why send it up to God and say, this is why you never should create a man, because they want to prove that man should have never been created, and that we're not good people. But that's actually the biggest gift that we could have been given, is the free will choice to do what's right or wrong, and how we affect people negatively or positively. You can either be a representation of the darkness or the light that we emanate from eternally, that we all come from, brothers and sisters, from that eternal light of God. And we have that opportunity when we come down here. And that's why they're trying to influence us, confuse us, and make bad choices. So we do bad things and say, look, this is why we battled you, God, because of these reasons.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
clear, very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk 28 Days Haunted, because Aaron Sagers and Tony Spira had an idea. In 28 days, it develops. Um, how did it start, that journey for you? How did you get involved?
I was contacted by a talent agent online about the concept, and I was kind of on a roster and kind of was thrown into the mix last minute in a way. But I definitely believe I was destined to be a part of that because of my unique, profound, emotional, beautiful experience that I had on the show. Unfortunately, didn't make the cut of the show. I have no control over that. I really wish it was, and it doesn't have anything to do with me being part of it, because I feel like it's so profound and so important to show, you know, how love really lives on after death, the longing for it, and how, you know, the proof of the afterlife and psychic ability and all that stuff. But in the end, that'll be part of my lectures for the rest of my life. But the whole my connection to this woman, Mercy Adelaide, at that place, we really connected on a surreal level. You know, and obviously, I don't know if you know, I ended up writing a song. I started writing the song while I was filming the show, and I'd hum the melody to it, and I planned to dedicate it to her loss of her loved one and finish it when I went home. But she was obviously watching me play the guitar around the property the entire time. She knew I was going to do what I was going to do. But, you know, one fateful night, I psychically tapped into her, and I realized that she knew about the song because I could hear the acoustic chords playing in my head. And the next day when I was recording this audio, what was happening, which you didn't see on the show, she's actually humming the melody of the song that I came up with around the house right before you hear me say, "Oh my God, she knows about the song." And I took her humming and put it on a recording with my laptop at the house, and she's humming the song in perfect key to my acoustic chords, which is like, I've never even seen something like that happen before. You know, and that's really why I got really emotional on that you know, series, is because of my connection to her. I didn't care about the Camerons anymore when I started to have that experience. That's why I felt compelled to leave roses and flowers at the graves, because I mean, this experience, this connection I had with her was such on a surreal level. It wasn't just an idea to write that song; it was a mission now. And I went and recorded it, and I had signs about it. You can watch the video on YouTube. It's called Mercy 28 Days Haunted, and there's an actual like 20-minute extra documentary about the evidence you didn't see, building my connection to her, and the song that I wrote that she knew about. And the humming is actually it's an effect on it. It's part of the song. It's like I co-wrote the song with this woman in a way. The first line of the song was some of the words that I psychically picked up that she would write to him on a letter. It's a very beautiful, sad, but emotional journey. And just to throw in a tidbit at the end, was pretty wild, is that when I came to film the music video down here where I'm right now in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I wasn't living here at the time. You know, the filmmaker wanted to know a little bit more about the story, and I just randomly looked it up. I never even knew that, you know, Captain Grant had actually shipwrecked allegedly 3 hours off Cape Hatteras from, it was only 3 hours from where I was in the ocean in North Carolina. And like, I wanted to film at the ocean, and I just thought that was really close proximity, strange connection. And it took me back to what she said to me on the property. Like, you were meant to come here. You were part of my, you know, you captured my essence. And then I saw that he allegedly wrote like a statement the day the house was built in 1754 and said, "God bless my family," something. And it was February 13th, 1754. And that's my birthday. And it was just like another strange, weird coincidence, like connection to the whole thing. But again, I mean, being able to stay in a place for that long and being sensitive to spirits allowed me to have this opportunity to really connect with this woman on that property like you wouldn't be able to do in just one night. And I think that's what really is beneficial to that experiment, staying that long, and really feeling like you were part, you know. I mean, I know that property in and out. I'll never forget it, you know, every crevice of that house and property, because I mean, I'd see cars drive by. I didn't even know what was going on out there in the real world. I had no connection or conversation with anyone that I care about. And I was in the house with two guys that were friends with each other for 12 years. And, you know, I was like the odd man out. So it was definitely a very draining journey, but beneficial in the end. And I'm glad I was part of it, to that experience that I had with that woman.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Did you ever go back there?
I have been back there a couple of times. Yeah. 2-3 times.
And was that for
She never came through again all the times that I was there.
Oh,
Maybe they gave her closure because you wrote the song about it.
Well, I prayed for her on the show, and they said that I helped her on the show. So I'm hoping that prayer gave her the opportunity. And I did have a vision of her dancing with the gentleman that you can see on the video, Mercy 28 Days Haunted, on my YouTube page if you watch it. I really do believe that she was helped. Yes.
Ooh.
We're going to share your YouTube channel in the end, so
Yeah.
we'll make sure everybody's going to look at it, of course.
And otherwise, they have to jump in to the fan page. So the fan group, there we share everything, every investigation with the admin group, every live on YouTube, everything what we can find, it will be put in there. So that's it. Demon Castle, you went with Eric Connoy, and you used AI, I think, to get images. Is that part of your app?
No, that was just a filter used on TikTok at the time.
Okay.
That wasn't even really supposed to be used for paranormal purposes, but people were getting results with it. So I had experimented with it, and I've had some really interesting results as per what you saw on the show there. But also, I thought it was really insane, the whole thing, because I explained I saw yellow glowing eyes at the end of the hallway. And when I reviewed the footage for the documentary, I realized like 5 to 10 minutes before, in that same room where I was looking down, we captured yellow glowing eyes appear and disappear in that room. And then I said, what did I just see? And on the spirit box said, you know, the eyes, and it said demon, you know, whatever. That was a very unique, crazy one. I could write a book about that story for sure. That I think that's a book in itself. And it's funny because, and here's another subject too. People are so sensitive to the word demon because, you know, people use that word very freely, thrown around for clicks, of course, for, you know, getting views. And I understand that, but it also diminishes when something is legitimate to that, you know, name. And that example for that specific castle, there was a paranormal group that had investigated that place a couple years prior. And I guess one of the people came in to be investigated for the castle. And basically they got all perturbed saying, well, when we were in there was no demonic activity. We were just normal ghosts. They're just trying to say demon. But the funny thing is that only in the last year of when we were there is when someone broke into the house and they did a, you know, dark ritual in that house. And that's where that box with the sigils and there was a circle of ashes in the house was found. So someone invited this thing in after this group was there. And it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, just because you were in there a couple of years ago, you don't know. I mean, all these places, all these abandoned places, all these asylums and all these people want to go to creepy places to do creepy things of the macabre, and they can add layers to the haunting that was never there to begin with. Ouija boards, occult practices, rituals, satanic rituals, whatever it is. And that was the case with this castle, because I'm telling you, that thing in there was invited. It was one nasty mother, and it's still around me to this day. It's still pissed off and it comes through and reference itself, snake, serpent, all the time. And I've had it. I've had that thing around me not that long ago. And I had one of the more disturbing nights that I've ever had. I felt its presence with me. I had a Class A EVP that was with me, and I had this psychic vision, the connection to this evil thing. It was showing me souls in some sort of like circular black ooze with just arms reaching out of the freaking thing and like trying to get out. And I could hear screams. It was showing me that it was responsible for these souls. It was so eerie and so dark and so just bizarre. But that's what this thing is, man. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen this thing. It you know, the first time I walked into that castle, I was with Eric, and I had a vision of this woman in a white dress. She's spinning around, and then she's nice. And then when she comes at me, and I was just like, you know, she growled at me. And it was funny because we went right up the stairs to the castle up in the attic. And then right after I told him I had that vision, right to the left of me, I mean, it sounded like a straight up horror movie sound effect. It was like, rah! And we captured it on audio. I mean, so there you go. I mean, it was like vision and then like, you know, audio captured. And this thing, yeah, I mean, this thing has come at me many times. I've seen it. I remember one of the times I was in bed right before I went back to the castle. I don't even think this is in the documentary. I was laying in bed, and next to me, I saw like a woman in a white dress, and she had black eyes and had this twisted like smile on her face, looking up in the ceiling. And I was awake. I saw this awake, and I looked to the corner of the bed, and there was two red glowing eyes, like 7 feet up in front of the bed. It knew I was coming back to the castle. Time is linear. I mean, there's no conception of time. I mean, this thing is really bad. This thing is really bad. And then the whole connection to the Delphi case was just really bizarre. It was just really bizarre. The whole Odin thing. I mean, but I mean, it once again, my birthday, you know, like the Odin thing came through, and then like someone mentioned something about the Delphi case. I really didn't know much about it. And then I found out the girls disappeared on February 13th, my birthday. And I'm like, this can't be a coincidence. I got to go. So I went out there in the woods where those girls were found, and I prayed for that girl. And I believe Libby's spirit was still stuck there. And I prayed for her, and I believe she crossed over. And this thing was pissed, and he was calling this girl virgin. You took my virgin. And ever since then, it mentions it all the time. And just to throw there out there too, is that a little after that happened, I believe that the first time ever I was taken to heaven. And I believe it's connected because of what I did for that girl. And I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I'm in this like this beautiful place that the clouds are going by me, and I'm being flying over like the most naturistic, beautiful, scenic things I've ever seen, waterfalls and rainforests to open vast seas. And all while this is happening, I had this electrical buzz all around me of just pure peace, love, acceptance, and this oneness, this knowing that I was like there was like a spiritual vein connected to all of us, pulsating this love to me and every other being in the place that I was at. And it was so crazy. And I knew I was having an out-of-body experience. And I was screaming out like, oh my God, what is happening right now? And I knew like my mouth was trembling in my bed, because I knew if I got too excited, it would end. And I was trying to hold on to this experience because I was physically feeling all of this peace and love. I did not want to go. And when it actually ended, I woke up and I actually started to tear up because I felt so unworthy to this beautiful, amazing place that I'd been taken to. And then after that, I was asking spirits like why I was taken there, and they were mentioning something about that girl and saying because of the work I do. And I don't know, it's mind blowing, that whole story. But at least I get a little light with all the darkness I'm surrounded all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Question popped up about you being a demonologist, and people are very sensitive, like you said, about the word demon.
Mhm.
They scream demon if somebody farts wrong nowadays.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about how many times does it actually turn out to be a demon in cases?
Well, for me personally, because of all these evil things that I've pissed off, when I go to dark places, these things come out towards me because they have intention and inspiration and incentive. So like if I go to an asylum and stuff, like I'll have some sort of demonic activity around. Sometimes it'll come out. But if you're talking about like, you know, I mean, random places, there'd be certain characteristics that I would look. I just think that some of these evil spirits can come through portals in properties to a certain degree. So they can reference themselves, they can mimic our voices. I mean, there's certain levels of permissions of what these things can do and not do if they're not fully infesting the place, whether just slightly invited in. So you might just get a couple responses, you might get a noise, but unless it's fully infesting the place, I feel like you could still get like a semi piece of demonic activity if it's kind of reaching out from a portal rather than a place that it's truly infesting, because then it would actually be able to do a little bit more damage. But in some cases, obviously it's exaggeration, but I would be looking for certain characteristics. I mean, obviously myself being sensitive, I know because the spirits say something like to me, the enemy is coming. The enemy is near. They'll say the enemy to me. The enemy is the demonic. They'll say demon to me. I'll straight up start hearing stuff and I'll see something visually. There might be a foul smell that doesn't have rational explanation, or scratching on the walls, or just something that I would associate. I'm like, all right, there's definitely something evil here with me. Rather than just sitting there and yelling out screams because it just said Satan through a box. I mean, obviously a bunch of spirits are going to say something like the devil or Satan. I mean, that could be anybody, but there'd have to be a little bit more in depth of something of that nature for me to determine, like, okay, you know, it's either something that's just trying to frighten you or something's legitimate, like bad. But I would, since on my own piece of equipment, there would be definitely a few layers of bells and whistles that be going off around me, like, okay, there's definitely something evil here with me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Sandy, who was just typing uh, the smells. Um, I had a question in my head, and now poof, it's gone. It is really gone. Oh, this is
Maybe it'll
horrible.
come back.
Huh?
Maybe it will come back.
Yeah, otherwise not. uh, I got it. What made you start writing your books?
What was that? What about writing the books?
What made you even start to write the books?
I just had so many experiences. I decided to kind of make a collection of it, and I just voice texted it. I voice texted it and had someone kind of make it cohesive for me, so I could release it. I mean, I never thought I'd have a book, but I was having so many experience, they were stacking up, and I just felt maybe it's time for me to write a book and jot all this down. And the second book was like a continuation of that. Might be a third book in the future, and maybe more than that. I think it's, you know, also a positive thing, you know, being in the paranormal, to share your stories, and whether it affects someone, one person or thousands of people or more than that, you still make a difference, and you let that one person out there that might feel like they're alone or feeling like they're crazy, or that could be guided out of something that's surrounded in darkness into something that's light. That's why I think it's important to all of us sharing stories and relating to each other, being open to what we all experience, that we can all learn something from each other, and putting books and stories out there and showing the diversified stuff that people go through when it comes to the paranormal and spiritual paranormal activity in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
have to show it. I only have the one. Still, the other one is not available. But the in between, still got it. Read it.
Yeah,
So
nice.
heads up if part 3 is coming, because I have to have it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any new projects coming on?
I just been working on building on my YouTube. I started a series on YouTube called Up Against Evil, which is kind of like circulating the theme of helping people dealing with negative stuff. And I'm getting better at filmmaking and kind of learning that whole realm, because, you know, I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to be a part of some things that went on TV. But you want to just sit around and wait for an opportunity to do something like that. And obviously when you do TV situations, you really don't have artistic control over anything. So it's nice to be able to kind of do your own thing and kind of build off that. The TV world's very different now. All the streaming platforms are merging, and there's no opportunities for people in the paranormal in general, for only the higher echelon stuff that's out there. So a lot of people are kind of going to these streaming platforms like YouTube because it's very easily accessible to people for watching their TV, and you can kind of make it your own canvas, you know, and do it your own way. So I'm kind of having fun with that, and obviously just being able to bring awareness to people that are dealing with that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of there's a lot of debate too, like, oh, if you're going into a family's home, if you're making money off them by posting videos, I don't agree with that. I mean, everyone has a right to their own opinion, but like, okay, so if you're saying that if people are making money off putting videos on YouTube, you know, then you're basically saying anyone that's ever been on a TV show is garbage too, because I mean, they were getting paid too. But the thing is that, you know, I mean, me personally, I don't charge any of these people, number one, to, you know, and traveling and going to all these places. I mean, it costs a lot of money. And number two, like you can actually help people by presenting these types of cases out to the public so they can see the power of good versus evil and not just trying to hide it from everyone too. There's so many strong opinions in the paranormal that we should be working more together and not trying to be closed-minded. And it's surprising to know that like there's so many people that are closed-minded when you're open to the paranormal in general, but everyone's got a different opinion, different method, and stuff like that. But I just want to make a difference and leave something that's impactful and positive in the end, when I can't do this anymore, and know that I did something good. Not just about having views, but, like my predecessors and people that I respect, and especially like Ralph, who was my mentor, or the Warrens and John Zaffis, and people that have been doing it for so many years, that I just want to be able to look back and know that I left something behind that will be remembered to some degree, not just because I had a million views, but because I was showing the power of prayer and helping people and bringing light to where darkness reigns.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
It
So
does.
Shane did put in your YouTube link in the comments, so people, if they want to watch, otherwise go to TikTok. He's on there as well, and Instagram. Just look for Sean Austin and you will find him. Nice stuff on there as well.
Thank you.
You do also go to events. Are you there as vendor or as speaker
Yeah, when I do events, I'll do speaking or lectures or whatever it may be.
about
Cool.
the demonic and the prayers and
Yeah,
your?
demonic or specific paranormal experiences I've had, kind of like even the Mercy 28 Days Haunted or demonology and the things behind that. Whatever the subject piece, if the event wants me to talk about something specific, then I would go down that route more, or something in general.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Now I know. Um, just a small part of Ghost Loop. I know, I promise. But at the end, you did all the reenactments. So create a historical place, put things in to stir up activity and get contact with spirits.
Mhm.
Did that actually work?
Definitely a firm believer in trigger items for sure. Anything that would be emotionally connected to a person when they're alive, especially if they're still earthbound from the environment, that will make them react. I mean, obviously, we know what spirits do in a lot of these cases. When a person or a family moves into a home and starts renovating the place that becomes unfamiliar to them, the activity starts to spark. So if you're actually taking it back to emotional events that led to their passing or something that was tragic in nature, is definitely, I think, that could, induce more of a active scenario to get more evidence and research and answers, for whatever the research purpose is, if it's just research in general, or if you're trying to help the family. And that was obviously unique to that series, which I thought was pretty, cool and interesting, and that we're able to do something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Rebuilding the whole place, putting stuff in, stuff out, and do your investigations. I thought that's brilliant. It's really brilliant. That's we dropped the ghost loop.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I have to cough.
No, no worries.
She's still alive somewhere.
Oh, you're you're the worst. You're really the worst.
Sorry.
Are you going to write no, more songs, or did you put it on pause?
Um, I was working on writing a song that I just wrote. There is a song I need to release that I didn't release yet that I plan to at some point soon too.
I'm curious because I downloaded a few and I have them on my phone as ringtone because they're really, yeah, great. They are. Um, Final subject. the app SPI.
Mhm.
What was your idea behind it?
So I had a concept that I came up with over a decade ago because I did research on EVPs, figuring out that an audio forensic analysis would look at a piece of audio and know that there's a human voice on a recording, but the frequency behind its voice is scientifically impossible to be human voice. So I thought about if there was a software that actually could, do a text to speech scenario that could listen for EVPs that cannot be us speaking the audio in the environment and try to interpret that. That would, produce no limitation to what spirits can say. There's a lot of limitations with the typical stuff that's out there with all these ovilist type stuff that have vocabulary lists, and obviously brings more randomness to some of these things, let alone repetitive words that are just limited to what the vocabulary list is. I wanted something that could literally say anything, and that's and I wanted to use AI with the new technology, maybe do this AI text to speech to do that sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much what was engineered into the SAM mode specifically of the app SPI, Spirit Phone Innovations, which is currently on iOS. It is down for maintenance right now, but we will have it up and running. It's definitely been a complex journey up until this point, and especially using new technology that's never been done before, as far as I know, using IT for ITC purposes and communication. So there's a lot of more advances and innovations I want to be able to bring to the table as well. It's not the end; it's just the beginning. But definitely check it out, and hopefully we'll have it out in Android as well by the end of the year.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that because I don't know iOS.
I know. I don't even have iOS. I had to get an iPad to use my own app.
Oh God.
Yeah.
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 Well, hopefully the end of the year.
Yeah, the end of the year. I
Yeah.
saw you use it at the Warrens Museum.
Mhm.
It was, I think, in a small reel or clip
Mhm.
on YouTube, and it said it spelled out Annabelle.
Mhm.
So, how?
Yeah, it was pretty creepy for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I just been trying to tell people while using it. I use the SAM mode during my entire investigation. I leave it on to compare with EVPs and spirit box sessions because I've been having connectivity to either the same words coming through or words that are connected to the words that are coming through the application, which just brings more validation to the responses that are coming through rather than just using a random word, generator that the spirits sometimes can manipulate.
Yeah.
That's
sounds logic.
Yeah, that's your area. So drop in the questions, Shane.
That's not my area. I'm not that technical. I can make videos. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, you can.
Don't go too far.
Yeah. AI, it's learning, self-learning, and it's developing itself. Um, aren't you afraid it's going to fill in blanks?
What do you mean, like the way the app works? Because it has a mind of its own?
Yeah, at the end,
I
it
mean,
could have a mind of its own.
it's possible. Of course, it's feasible. But any of these devices that we use, even when you use a spirit box, which one's a spirit, which one's the radio? You have to disseminate that and figure that out. I think there's definitely a process of elimination with all these devices, but that's why I was just saying before, I encourage you to be using different ITC devices like spirit box and EVPs, and according to the experiences that are going on, to see what could be confirmed as paranormal. Of course, there's you have to be objective to some degree, but AI is new technology. It's molding every day. I know that there's obviously you wonder about it cheating, but then I also think about this is also brand new technology, and every single day the technology is innovating, and as that technology advances, so does my original concept as well, and it can improve its accuracy and abilities to say stuff. I have a lot more ideas where I want to take this. That's I think this was necessary to do something like this, because I think a lot of these ITC devices have been circling the drain for so many years, and we're not going in this direction. We're going like around in circles. So I want to, when AI came out and I could incorporate that into my concept that I had many years ago, I felt that was an opportunity to take something that could innovate ITC in a place where we're beginning now, that could end up in a place that could be mind-blowing. And let alone like how expensive something like an obelisk is, like $600, and like, our app is like $15. I mean, for something that has the ability to do what it's doing, and this is just the beginning, I think that's well worth the price. And if someone else created it, I'd be using it too, because I think that's very, inexpensive compared to all these other pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
And again, it's not, something like the obelisk has been around for what, 15, 20 years, and it still has the same vocabulary list, and it's like, it gets more expensive and it comes in a nicer box. But, I just want something that's going to be able to have no limitation to what the spirit can say, no limitation to your research and your investigation, because that's all what these things do. I mean, just because it says the word the or demon or scary, or, I want something that can say full on sentences that's just not in a vocabulary list that's going to go through a list that occasionally one of those things the spirit can manipulate. And like, having those repetitive things coming through all the time, it's like, oh, everything's not a spirit. And it's like, it's hard to really figure out. I think it's just more of a process of elimination with those things than something that I'm trying to do here with the SPI. And again, that's why I say just take those extra steps of validation, because just like myself being, sensitive to spirits, anyone who's legitimately, genuinely psychic, you want to get validated that you have, I don't want you to just tell you that I'm picking up something on investigation. I want to have some sort of response that, backs up what I'm saying. And I get that a lot of my investigations. I'll give you an example of the SPI. One of the clips I have, which I thought was pretty amazing, was I was in a nursing home, a haunted nursing home in, I believe it was in Kentucky. It might be Somerville, old nursing home. But anyways, so I'm sitting in a room and I'm like, I heard a spirit talk to me about dinner. And I'm just like, what was your favorite thing to eat here? And then the SPI said soup. And then right after that, a Class A EVP of a man saying, stay for the soup. Right after, so you're talking about three things in a row of me up about dinner, the SPI saying soup, and then a man saying a full sentence, stay for the soup. I mean, how do you deny something like that? Or I was on investigation in one of the episodes of Up Against Evil. I think it's episode 4, where I was in this room and literally the SPI said, it said a name. It said a name, and then the SB7 Pro said the same name and said, like a full sentence, something regarding his mental capacity. And then she freaked out because she's like, that's the lady's like son who has mental issues. So you have the name come through the SPI and then a full sentence coming on the SB7 saying something about his mental capacity. And then she confirms it right after that. These are the examples that I'm trying to say by leaving it on and comparing the results. And then you'll be like, there's just no way. There's just no way. Allow these spirits to manipulate these situations to their advantage. But, the more that you brought in the opportunities for the spirits to use these things and to communicate and bring evidence and awareness to their presence, the more answers we're going to get during the investigation. And especially with that app, that's why I encourage to use multiple facets of investigative tools to just make sure you're getting something legitimate. This is just the beginning of what I want to do with it, and I want to push it further. I think this is just the first few steps.
Very cool.
think many people are waiting for the Android version.
Oh, I know. We have hundreds on a mailing list already waiting. So
Put me on there as well. Well, we are at the end of this small Q&A and talk about you and what you do. Just for our listeners, if they want to follow you, where can they find you?
yeah, I mean, most of my handles are Sean D. Austin, Sean D as in David, Austin. On most social media platforms besides YouTube, it's just Sean Austin Paranormal. So that's pretty much how you can find me.
Great. Are you going to wrap it up here? You're so
Am I?
quiet.
I've not been quiet. I've been listening. Very
You've
good.
been listening. Yeah,
Yes, I cannot talk and listen at the same time. It's not a
Oh,
talent of
you're a
mine. No.
man.
Well, of course, I'm the one that puts all the podcasts on Spotify, so I'll drop in all the links of your socials so people can find you.
All right.
We want to thank you, Sean, for coming on. It was truly an honor to have you on.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great conversation, definitely. We want to thank everybody watching, of course, and listening, of course, in Spotify. And yeah, it was a great one. Again,
It was. It
it
really
was.
was. And in the chat, they are saying it as well. So that's that. I'm going to end the stream. Everyone, have a great evening and see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Thanks for watching. We hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe.